If you're new to the channel, I've always been a fan of roguelikes and shooters, but I wasn't sure how Gunfire Reborn would hold up on mobile. It's available for $6.99 on iOS and Android, and after spending about 5.5 hours with it, I was surprised at how well it translated. If you love looter shooters with a roguelike twist, Gunfire Reborn might just be what you're looking for. Game kicks off with you starting with the Crown Prince, the basic hero with elemental powers, but as you progress, you unlock new heroes with different abilities. The goal is simple: fight your way through randomly generated dungeons, take out waves of enemies, and collect loot, and grow stronger with each run. It's a perfect mix of action-packed gunplay with roguelike progression that keeps each session fresh. What I found particularly enjoyable is the constant state of discovery. From scrolls that modify your abilities to new weapons that you unlock mid-run, there's always something that changes up how you play. You'll never really know what's coming next, which makes each run feel different from the last. One of the standout features of Gunfire Reborn is the variety of weapons. Whether it's shotguns, snipers, or pistols, each weapon has a distinct feel. The weapon variety also shines here, and combined with special scrolls that give you temporary buffs, no two runs are the same, which is especially cool how these scrolls can create some of the unique combinations if you make sure that you're building right. Maybe you'll get one that boosts critical damage after a certain number of shots, or another that makes enemies explode upon death. The fun is in experimenting to find these synergies to turn your character into an unstoppable force. The game's progression system is another plus. Even when you die, which in a roguelike is going to be a lot, you'll earn essence that can be spent on permanent upgrades for your character. These can range from enhancing your health to unlocking new weapons or even improving specific skills for each individual hero. This keeps you motivated to jump back in with every death, knowing that each run can make you stronger. Another major pro for mobile players is how well the touch controls work. With auto-aim doing some of the heavy lifting, aiming feels smooth and natural, which is essential in a fast-paced shooter like this. Even though I had some initial concerns, I found the mobile controls to be surprisingly intuitive and responsive. It also helps that enemies have an attack pattern that leaves them completely vulnerable for a few seconds, or they charge right at you, allowing you to anticipate and evade accordingly. Mobile works surprisingly well with tracking in this regard. The cel-shaded graphic art style is fantastic, and it's clear that no corners were cut when it came to the transition. Lastly, for those that prefer to customize their control to their liking, it offers a fully customizable layout, and so that's always a plus. However, it's not all perfect. One of the biggest issues that I encountered on mobile is that it feels like a smaller field of view compared to the PC version. In more hectic moments, especially during boss fights, it's easy to get overwhelmed, and I felt like I was taking hits because I wasn't 100% sure on the distance of enemies or the distance of projectiles were to me. It was also very apparent in instances where I had to jump to dodge attacks. Then there's performance. During some of the more chaotic moments with explosions and particle effects and dozens of enemies on screen, the game started to stutter a little bit and my phone got noticeably hot. While it didn't ruin the experience, it did make some of those intense firefights a bit frustrating, especially when split-second reactions are critical. It's also important to note considering I'm on a more higher-end device. One of the other downsides is the grind. While the progression system is fun and rewarding, unlocking higher-tier talents and characters can take a long time. The early stages of the game can feel repetitive until you're unlocking enough upgrades to tackle harder content. For players looking for a quicker pace, this one might feel like a bit of a drag. I found myself sinking a lot of time just to get to the point where I felt strong enough to really make a dent into the later stages. Lastly, controller support, while available, was incredibly disappointing. Despite me finally syncing my control, the experience felt a little bit unpolished and I eventually gave up and stuck with the touch controls. It's not a deal breaker, but if you're someone who prefers to play shooters with a controller, this might not feel as smooth as you expect. After 5.5 hours with Gunfire Reborn on mobile, I can confidently say it's a great addition to the platformer for roguelike and shooter fans. The gunplay is top-notch, the variety of weapons and scrolls keep things interesting, and the progression system is engaging enough to keep you hooked for multiple runs. It's the common game where you'll consistently be experimenting with different builds, finding new strategies, and unlocking powerful upgrades that make each run more exciting than the last. However, things like the smaller field of view, occasional performance issues, and the grind-heavy progression system might not be for everyone. If you're a fan of roguelikes or looter shooters and don't mind investing a little time to unlocking everything, Gunfire Reborn is absolutely worth its $6.99 price tag. Just be prepared for a few hiccups along the way, but if you can look past them, there's a lot of fun to be had here. If you have any recommendations for me to review, leave it in the comment section below. Otherwise, stay tuned in to Gaming in the Moment.